everyone. Welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers, seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Hey, Melissa, we're starting a podcast. Can you please get off your phone?
Give me a minute. Jeez. You gotta be so rigid.
How many meetings have you tried to be in or conversations with your spouse or your kid or something that starts with like, hey, I need to talk to you. Can you get off your phone for like 2 seconds?
I know. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. I'm reaching the end of my flexibility with it too. You think that's bad? Try doing a whole group session with 20, 30 leaders in the room. Everybody's got their cell phones.
Yeah, it's interesting how our society and culture has progressed through this smartphone, like I have a supercomputer connected to the entire world in my pocket thing.
Yes, it's a problem. I mean, it's a problem.
Yeah. So from like just starting kind of like on the professional side, both you and I were in Vistage, like a CEO roundtable group.
Yep.
And do you remember like when we started 10, 15 years ago, the group norm was we're working on our businesses. You walk in the front door, you put your cell phone like in a basket.
Box.
Yeah. Where you can't access it. And it was like a no technology, no distraction
for the day,
for the whole day,
except for a couple of little breaks. Yep. Yep. And everybody would run to get to the box.
But it was for a reason, right? It was because we're supposed to be not distracted and we're supposed to focus and be in the moment.
Right.
I can
Connect
tell you
with each other
that nowadays in that same meeting, you're not in Vistage anymore, but I still am. Everyone's got their phone. We dropped that like put your phone in your box thing.
You did? Why did you drop it?
I don't know. Like, actually, I'm kind of you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm kind of disappointed that we dropped it.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably just like a weird little slippery slope. I think that parts of our meeting got a little bit more dependent on technology, maybe, or maybe our group just kind of slipped into some bad habits, or we just decided the new norm was that it's okay.
You know,
or probably more. We didn't decide, and it's just a thing that creeped in. What do you think it is?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's a bunch of presidents and CEOs that don't want to be told what to do, so they're going to do whatever they want. That's what I think.
That might be.
Me being one of them in that room, so I'm not throwing stones, but
it's so much more pervasive than that. It's every single person. It's not just a position thing. It's up and down and sideways.
I know.
I would like to think if you're in kind of an advanced state in your career, that the thing that got you there was self-discipline. But we're clearly not showing that value when our group shows up and
I just think
exhibits nearly no self-discipline around technology.
Yeah, I think it's just habit. Everybody's just gotten into their own habit, and this phone habit is more often than not an addiction at this point. Yeah. Straight up. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Like you know, like you're talking about like in the Vistage group, you're talking about I don't know how many, 15 people or whatever it is. But look at a big conference room. You know, when you get 50 people or more in a room for the day, and people are paying to be in that room.
Yep.
And those same people are on their phones sending grocery lists and sending dog pictures.
Who knows what?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not a violent person, right? Like, like I'm not generally pretty laid back.
No, you're not.
Right?
Yes, precisely.
Like to think I'm pretty laid back.
Yeah.
The biggest fantasy that I have, here I'm gonna tell you a deep secret. One of my deepest, darkest fantasies.
So exciting.
Yeah, is that it's like I take my kid's cell phone right in front of them and I smash it with a hammer.
Okay, we'll go to the kid thing in just a minute. I just have a couple more things to say about it professionally. Because I have a lot to say about the kid thing. But professionally, do you know what we have done to try to make it okay?
What?
I'm just noticing our processes. I mean, that's really what I want to talk about today is like, do we recognize the excuses that we have made to ourselves about the phone use? Like, isn't this like just the path of addiction is to like come up with all these excuses why it's okay to do it and how it's not bad for you and other people that are worse than you? Right?
Oh, I love that one. I know other people that are worse than me. That's the best addict.
Oh, you think I'm on it a lot?
Yeah, you think I'm bad. You should see Carl over there. Carl is on it all the time. He's watching YouTube right now. Sorry, Carl.
It's true, though. But as a facilitator, I cannot explain to you how disruptive a single person on their phone is. And here's what's so funny. Okay, I'm just going to call everybody out that have ever been in conferences. When you sit with your phone upside down on the table, it's not upside down. It's just inconveniently in a way that you're going to have to move it to see what's on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's like, have you been to like Vegas where they like peek under the cards to see what cards
exactly.
they have? That's what people are doing constantly with their phone.
Right. And guess what else? They think they're being real discreet. Yeah, right. I got a double.
Yeah.
I got a double. They think they're being discreet. Here's what happens. You got a table of 6 or 8 people, and one person is disrupting it with their phone. All of the other 6, 8 people on the table are going, oh, I wonder what they just got on their phone. They're not supposed to have their phone. Do they have are you supposed to have your phone out in this? I can't remember what is it. I should check my phone. I wonder if I've gotten anything that's happened since, well, I know I'm waiting for so-and-so. And this is what happens. We get so sidetracked.
Totally.
From what is in front of our face.
Yep.
It's so annoying.
Maybe you need to implement a no cell phones in your...
my events?
In your events, yeah.
Oh, I do. But you know what happened to me once?
Yeah.
This was in the day when one company gave all the exact same cell phones to their employees. And I tried the Vistage thing.
Yeah.
I was like, you walk in the room, and as you walk in the room, here, you put it in this big bucket.
Yep.
Right? You'll get it back on break. Okay. Well, we ended up having like 60 black phones. They were all identical.
Were they all mixed up?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yes.
Okay. I got an idea for you.
Oh,
how about the next event you have? You let everyone come in. They can all bring their phones. And then you just say, whoever picks up their phone first, I'm going to smash it with this hammer that I have. And you just bring a hammer with you. That could work. It works in my fantasy land.
Well, actually in the Vistage 2.0, because now you're on 3.0 with how you manage the phones. 1.0 was no phones. 2.0 was you can have your phone, but if it makes a noise or distracts anybody else, $20. And then at the end, remember that? And like 6 months later, we had a Vistage folder that was meant to be all these photocopies and like attendance stuff and speaker information. And instead, it was a binder that was absolutely overflowing with 20s. There was like over $1,000 in our group. We didn't know what to do with the money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. There's a big debate. What should we do with this money from our stupid phones distracting everybody?
Buy the newest iPhone, obviously.
Okay. Let's talk about kids.
Well, so the work thing is totally a thing, but what I really want to talk about is how phones affect your personal relationships, because I will tell you, I am jealous of the phones Like, I am jealous of the attention that
phone
my
gets.
family pays to their phone. And it's kind of in a like, why are you paying attention to your phone and why are you not paying attention to me?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's real core,
It's
and
real.
it's really, it's like I try to not make it hurtful, but then like, I'm like, ugh,
Yeah,
why is
no,
everyone
it's
just
true.
looking at their phone? And I remember very distinctly, like, I got an iPhone very early, right? Because
Of course
I'm a
you did,
nerd,
because you're a
because I'm a
tech
nerd
nerd.
like that.
Tech nerd.
And Amber had the same reaction. She's like, why are you always looking at that thing? I'm like, I don't know. It's just playing around, there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you care?
I don't know. Our kids are only taking their first step. I'm just looking at my phone.
I'm only trying to make dinner while the kids
Right?
are running around. You go ahead and keep looking on your phone.
But she had that initial reaction.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it made me think, like, oh, she's right. Like, I am paying attention to this black rectangle.
Yeah.
And not to the one, like, the person in my life that I love the most. Right. Fast forward. We're
all doing it.
We're all
We're
doing
all
it.
doing it. I know.
We're all doing it, and 20 times worse than when these things first came out.
Yeah.
Because they've been so engineered to grab us that we literally can't get away.
Right. Right. Yeah. I heard somebody talking about cell phones once, and they said that people are addicted. It is straight up an addiction. And then they used the analogy of, what does a smoker do when they're going to go to bed? What they do is they go out and they have a cigarette before they go to bed. What's the first thing they do when they wake up, or
Yep.
if it's physically feasible? They grab a cigarette.
Yep.
Phones are the exact
Same
same
with
way.
phones.
What's the last thing you
Yep.
do at night, and what's the first thing you do in the morning, and or even in your top 3 things that you do in the morning. So I mean, it is a real thing, and the disconnection that is happening, human to human to human, is so real and
Yeah.
so sad.
So there's a couple things about the device addiction stuff, and again, I'm not preaching here because I'm part of the problem too.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
right. Yeah, yeah.
You know, this is just for my own.
Well, we are kind of
Help.
ranting about cell phones today, and I'm actually fine with that.
But
I don't care.
so there's the connection problem, right? Like, we're not actually connecting. Well, it feels like we're connecting with people
we're
through the
not.
device, like on Facebook and our social media platforms. It's more like a little bit more like information transfer. It's not a real super true connection. And I'm not disparaging online relationships, because there's actually like a lot of
Yeah.
great benefit in having relationships with people that you meet online. Those are not invalid relationships.
Right.
But like, really where the connection problem comes is like when there's people like literally in front of you in real life that you're ignoring
Right.
for like the dopamine hit of like the next blip on your news feed, right?
100%. My husband and I went out Valentine's Day, and we were at dinner, and we did not have our phones out. We were just actually talking to each other. Weird, right?
How awkward.
So odd. I looked across the aisle, and there was a young couple, and they came in at the same time we did, and they were seated, and they both whipped out their phones. They never talked to each other. They never said a word to each other. The server came up. They took their drink orders. They looked up. They answered the server, and they looked right back at their phones. And then he sort of put his phone away. So I was just like watching this to see what
This
was
is
going
like
to happen.
a fun social
Right.
observation
It's
for
an
you.
experiment. And I was like, is this a date? Are they, is this a new date?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? So of course my curiosity.
Oh my God. It's so fun to like try to diagnose
I
what
know.
relationships people are in at a restaurant.
Right. Well, then her hand moved and they were married to each other.
Huh.
Okay. So he put his phone away first,
Yeah.
and then he was looking at her. And she was not looking at him. She was still looking down. And this went on for a very long time. And their food came, the appetizer or whatever. And she did not start eating her appetizers because she was on her phone. And she was scrolling. You could see her thumb scroll. So she wasn't like okay. Anyway. And then I noticed that they were married to each other at some point at the beginning of that. And I just felt really sad. It made me sad. I thought, what is this? Like, how is this a special night? you know,
Yeah,
like
I don't want to sound like a super old fogey, but I'm getting there. Like,
I don't care.
right? Like, is that a
I don't care if I
connection?
do.
Is maybe
Right.
people can find
Right.
connection kind of through those mediums, like, but
Yeah.
it's not really for me. I'm not.
No,
I'm not
scrolling on your
sold.
Instagram,
I'm not sold yet.
scrolling on the gram when you're on a Valentine's date with your husband, and obviously you're not married that many years because you're both pretty young.
Yep.
It was just sad to me because it was a really missed
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah.
It was a hugely missed opportunity.
The other thing that really bugs me about device overuse is I like watching people's behavior in the line at the grocery store.
Yeah. Yes.
So, like, you're just in line at the grocery store. You're going to stand in that line for about a minute or 2 minutes. It's, like, not a long time.
Yeah.
But everybody nowadays just, like, looking straight down at their phone. And I'm like, what's so important that you need to get on your phone at the grocery store? It's, just stand here for a minute. And the reason that bugs me is because I feel that creativity, good ideas, even like mentally processing emotions and things happening in your world happen during downtime, happen
Idle
when your
times.
brain is not occupied.
Right.
And maybe
right,
happens when your brain wanders. So
Yeah.
so while like I like this idea of meditation, which helps focus your brain and focuses your thoughts, I also enjoy participating in the opposite of that, which I think maybe is a kind of meditation, of like letting your brain wander and explore and just like off into la la land. And I think that's really important and an undervalued part of our experience. Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
So if you
there's been
your
times
brain with scrolling, you miss it. Like you miss a great opportunity to do
well,
nothing.
you become absolutely passive all the time. Your mind is never, you're never creating. You're never in charge. You're always passively participating in something that you don't even really. Actually, what you're doing is you're participating oftentimes in comparison and contrast and judgment about what you're seeing, which then brings us into the next thing. So I have to tell you this. Like, this has happened to me now 3 times.
Okay.
The first time was a couple of summers ago. My daughter and my friend and I were in Paris, and we went to a museum, and it had it was a beautiful original piece of art, and everyone was clustered around trying to get a picture of this thing. I mean, it was, I don't know, I would say it was at least 15 people deep in this half circle. Okay. And it was, and the painting, as is very typical with a lot of those ancient paintings, much smaller than what
that's
they look like.
Like the actual Mona Lisa is tiny. Like you'd think it'd be like 15 feet tall, but it's like it's like tiny, 8 inches or something.
Yes, exactly right. It's very small. Okay, so similar to this, and there were 2 young women, early 20s, late teens, that were very primped up, all ready to go, beautiful hair, all the things, and they were getting up to the front of that because they were going to take selfies. They used up, I don't know, and most people were being very respectful. They'd go up, take a picture, look at it, feel the feels, get out of the way, next person, next person, next person. These 2 young women sat there for 10 minutes getting the perfect angle of selfie. Now to the left, now to the right. And it was so tone deaf to what was happening around them. There was an absolute inability to notice that there were other people that they were affecting with this experience.
That's interesting, like the selfie culture.
Yeah.
It's like, was there a selfie before cell phones could turn the cameras backwards? Like, was there a film version of this? Was this like
only if you were really creative with how you push the button down and facing
right, or
a
like
little...
you had some like really good mirrors or something?
Right. I don't think so, really.
Well, so like in classic art, you would have like a self-portrait,
Yes,
right? So there
exactly.
is a little bit of sort of history about this idea, like I want to
Yeah.
document
Yeah.
like myself,
Yeah.
but the idea of selfies and constantly posting about yourself is
Yeah.
a really interesting, like, hyper self focus.
Totally.
The thing that I think is really fascinating, I should look this up. Like, when were mirrors invented?
Oh, that is really a fascinating thing.
Right? Because there's probably like a huge majority chunk of the human experience over the past many millions of years
Yeah.
where you never actually saw what you look like.
Yeah.
Maybe in a
Exactly.
very still pond or a
Right.
lake, kind
Which is
of.
narcissus, right? There you go. Like, there it is. The narcissist is the
Right?
person who stares at their own reflection in the lake.
Right. So,
Well,
not
that's
that,
very interesting.
but it is kind of interesting to think about this self focus, this maybe more
Yes, it's-
narcissistic
Yeah.
culture that's being kind of propagated
Hugely.
with
hugely.
this kind of action.
Yep. And this winter, as you know, I went south for a little bit and was hanging out, and we were at one of the beaches, and it was beautiful sunset. We were waiting for the sun to set, and a bunch of us were there, and it's very common for a bunch of people to go down and watch it. And there were these 4 girls that were doing the big jumps with the sunshine behind them, like the big, huge swinging their arms out, like trying to do beautiful dance moves. And there was everyone around them trying to enjoy this beautiful view and the sound and the water and the ocean. And here are these girls that are completely unaware that anything else is going on around them other than they're just trying to get the perfect shot for the gram.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen on 3 occasions that stood out to me. And I just thought, oh, I hope that I have instilled in my children the awareness factor. I mean, it's fine and fun to do selfies sometimes. It's actually a great way to capture what's happening. But there is a line.
Some moments. Yeah.
There is a line that it no longer is an appropriate thing. And it is, again, this phone addiction being able to give us absolutely everything that we want in any given moment.
Yep. How many times have you pulled your phone like out of your purse or out of your pocket under the guise that you're just checking the time?
Yeah. No, not really. Because
Come
you know
on.
what?
So I do that all the time.
No,
I'm like, oh,
Because I got an Apple Watch. Because you don't wear a watch, but
Oh,
I
you're-
have my
oh,
whole phone on my wrist.
It's because you're more device addicted than I am because you
Exactly.
have to have it on your wrist at all times.
Precisely. That's exactly right. I have the Apple
knew
Watch.
it. But the compulsion to look at it
Oh,
is
that's a good word.
unbelievably strong.
Oh, it's such a good
I
word.
like look at my phone for like literally no reason. I think we talked about this in a previous pod, but I like deleted everything on my phone that like did
Yeah.
a push notification or had a little badge of like how many unread things or had any infinite scrolling ability.
Right.
But even after I deleted all that stuff, I still find myself just like pulling it out and looking at it.
Yeah.
Right. And I had posted this, you had called it out. Like one of our customers talked about phones as black
yeah.
mirrors.
I loved that.
Right.
What
It's like, why
a
am I looking at this
great
black mirror? It's like the black mirror is like sucking my soul out.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Not to be
I'm
overly dramatic.
Oh no! Oh, that didn't sound dramatic at all. Well, I do think that it's really worthy of thinking about a little bit. You know, just checking yourself with your phone. I mean, I have. You know what else I really hate on Sundays? Do you get the little notification from Apple about your screen time?
Oh yeah,
How does that make you feel?
not great.
No. And I think to myself, that can't be right.
I know it can capture time in an unbelievable way. Like, and I talked to the kids about this. Is like, they're like, I don't know, watching YouTube or on TikTok or whatever for like crazy amounts of hours.
Yeah.
And I just every once in a while I just ask them like, are you happy that you just gave TikTok like 40 hours of your time? Like you just gave them your most precious thing. Your most precious thing is time. It's the
time.
only thing you can't get more of in life.
Right.
And you just gave them 40 hours of that, like this week or something. Yeah, whatever. It's maybe not by that much. But
did they ignore you then and just keep scrolling?
Yeah. Well, but
it's true, though.
Think about it in that context. Like, what else would you give that much time to? Your job? Your family? I mean, the amount of time we're giving these things is mind-boggling.
And time that we don't really have. Time we don't really have. We're sandwiching it in between other things when we could be doing way more productive or self-loving things.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah. I don't care about the productive part. Like there's a lot of for me, like the human experience, which is totally fine being completely unproductive.
Right.
Like we don't have to be like,
right. I know.
This is a dumb statement coming from me, but like we don't have to be like constantly working all the time.
No, we don't. We don't.
And doing things that are just useless is part of the fun, but just watch it, because before you know it, you've spent a good chunk of your life given
tucked away,
like something like Facebook, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The other thing that I think about too with this stuff is we've been talking about mental health, right? There's a lot of there's clear studies around how device use causes more stress, more anxiety, like more
self-esteem
depression,
issues, hugely.
self-esteem, all these negative mental health conditions. I mean, I don't think anyone is going to hear this and be like, oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
Right,
because it's pretty pervasive, but again, it's hard to control. The other one I think about too is like the physical effects of these devices, right?
Yeah.
There's kind of like the blue light thing, which people probably heard of, but like even when you're like looking at it, again, in the grocery store, when you see people, they're like hunched over, their heads are down, their necks are down,
and their thumbs, like constant movement of the thumbs.
And it just keeps you from doing very simple things, like instead of going outside, you just sit on your couch and look at your phone, right?
Right.
And you can make the same case for like TV and lots of other things, but I think there is like a part of the physical experience that these things really manipulate around too.
Yeah, because addiction is always not just a mental or emotional thing. It also is a physical piece. It's all together in that. So not saying everyone is addicted, but I think it's a very slippery slope. And I think we need to pay attention to that.
All right. So what are we going to do about it? Quick, you got like 3 minutes to tell us what we're going to do about it.
No idea.
No idea. Let me Google that on my phone.
The next time I'm going to see Van Gogh, if there are two young ladies that are standing in the place trying to take selfies, I'm going to remind them that this was a man who created many, many self-portraits of himself and ended up cutting his ear off. So, so there.
Well, I would say, like so many things in our little self-awareness journey, awareness is the first step.
Awareness is the key.
Just
exactly.
Take a look and see if it's serving you. Great.
Yeah.
If it's not, maybe it's time to make a change.
It's okay to shift it up. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.